Paul Thomas Anderson has a new movie out. Hooray. This is truly a time for celebration. But in light of September being the month of Paul Thomas Anderson, in light of One Battle After Another coming out, I am going to be doing a ranking of all 10 of his films. PTA is one of my favorite directors, and I really don't think he has a bad film. But today I'm gonna be ranking all of them, gonna be getting into the nitty-gritty of each one. So let's get started. Hard Eight follows an older man named Sidney who befriends a troubled gambler named John and decides to mentor him in the art of gambling. Hard Eight is PTA's debut feature, and you can definitely tell. There is a lot of PTA-isms in this one, but I wouldn't say it's as incredible as his other work. Unlike most PTA films, Hard Eight has an incredibly simple premise and has incredibly simple commentary it's trying to get through, and it does a decent enough job at doing that. But this one is the one you can see most of his inspirations in. There's a lot of Scorsese-esque cinematography, and there's a lot of Altman-esque writing in this, which are two of PTA's kind of bigger influences, especially Altman. But yeah, this one's good. It's not anything incredible like a lot of PTA's other work, but there is a lot of great qualities to this. First up, Philip Baker Hall as Sidney is just incredible. He's really great in this. He's the perfect character to follow in this film, and the most interesting one. Gwyneth Paltrow is also great as Clementine. She's my second favorite character besides Sidney in this. She's very complex, and you can really sympathize with her and sympathize why she makes a lot of the choices she makes in this film, even though you don't always agree with them. John C. Reilly is, he's good in this, but he's much better in PTA's later films, which I will get to. But yeah, he's serviceable enough here. And Samuel Jackson's in this too, and he has some fun stuff too. The issue about Hard Eight is it just doesn't feel PTA enough. He hasn't really fully grown into his director shoes by this point, so again, it feels very Altman-esque, and it feels very Scorsese-esque, and it feels almost too Altman and Scorsese inspired at points. It's a decent enough film. If you've seen the movie, you know that there's some weird plot twists in the film that you don't see coming, and after watching the movie, I enjoyed how it resolved things, but I'm still quite not sure if I agree with where they decided to take some of the plot elements in this film. But unfortunately, there's just not that much to say about this one. It's pretty basic. It's fun. I'd give it a watch. I might watch it again sometime. But I'm not rushing back to rewatch this one. It's a very interesting time, and it's a very, very great directorial debut for PTA. But honestly, there's nothing too overly special about this. If this wasn't directed by PTA, I honestly don't think I would actually rush to watch it. Inherent Vice follows the 1970s drug-fueled Los Angeles private investigator Larry Doc Sportello as he investigates the disappearance of a former girlfriend. Inherent Vice is an interesting one. It's the film that stands out the most in PTA's filmography. Inherent Vice is very odd, and going into it, it's much different than you'd expect it to be. Inherent Vice is very funny. There's a lot of very funny sequences in it, but it's very meandering and it's very wordy. It's not really your standard detective investigation film. It's more of a 1970s hangout film, which I feel that he perfected in his later work with Licorice Pizza. But Inherent Vice is the most flowy and weightless PTA's filmography has ever been. I think the biggest issue is that when you go in, you're expecting this homage to 70s investigation thrillers when it's kind of not that. It's more of a homage to 60s and 50s investigation thrillers, like 50s noir detective films that takes place in the 70s. That's also a 70s hangout film. But those tones feel kind of clashing for me. It's very wordy for a hangout film. It's very intellectual for a hangout film. A lot of the mystery in the main plot is so complex it's hard to grasp your mind onto, which feels like clashing tones with a hangout film, akin to a Dazed and Confused and Slacker. As much as I like what PTA was going for here, I think its biggest fault is it gets caught up in its own wordiness and intellectualism. I don't think that it's like one of those films that's very heavy-handed that feels it's smarter than it is. It is a very smart film. It's a very smartly written film, but it's not as tight as it should be. It's way too flowy and weightless, and I feel like the noir and the hangout tones could work together, but I feel like they clash a little bit too much because of the wordiness and the intellectualisms of the dialogue and of the story. The story is way too complex and convoluted for its own good. I will definitely go back to this one just because I really do want to understand more of the complexities of it. It's a very interesting film. I was highly intrigued the entire way through when watching it because of how complex it was and because of how wordy it was while also being weightless. But unfortunately, it's just kind of a movie that's hard to watch. I enjoy Inherent Vice, I enjoy its vibe, but I really have to get in the headspace to watch it before I watch it again. Licorice Pizza follows Alana Kane and Gary Valentine as they run around, get into hijinks, and fall in love in San Fernando Valley in 1973. Licorice Pizza is something I really enjoy. I complained a lot about the vibes of Inherent Vice, and I feel like all of those vibes PTA was going for there really work here. This film also takes place in the 70s, and the vibes are extraordinary. This is one of the best vibes films I've ever seen. The cinematography, I think, is really underrated in this one. It really expresses how great San Fernando Valley looked in the 1970s. The way it shoots California really works for me. The main love story here is weird, if I say the least. There's a lot of controversy around the age gaps and the differences in age in the main love story in this one. And yeah, it is weird, but also rarely does PTA star his films around a good person as the protagonist. And controversy aside, I don't think that's the point of the film. This film really does feel like, at its core, a hangout film. There's so much fun, there's so much love in it. I really do enjoy it. Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim are both fucking incredible in this. I think they both knock it out of the park in their performances. Alana Haim, especially, it was really great to see her in one battle, even for a bit. But this one's fun. This one feels like PTA running laps around his career. It's like almost this museum of pictures of the 70s, and along with that, pictures of his career. There's a lot of cameos from actors that PTA works with a lot in this film, and they're all great and fun to see. This film is really a delightful watch. It's 2 hours, but it breezes by. I have a delightful time watching this anytime I do. And oh my god, the needle drops in this are fucking perfection. Let Me Roll It is the best needle drop in any PTA film, period. The Let Me Roll It scene in this is euphoric. It's fucking incredible, and I love it so much. But much like the best hangout films, I love how this speaks to the human experience and how this speaks to growing up. It's this incredible coming-of-age film with some incredible vibes to it. I think a lot of people don't give this one as much credit as it deserves. I really do enjoy it. Licorice Pizza feels nostalgic, even to someone who hasn't grown up in the 70s. It just has these nostalgic vibes and these universal feelings that you get when growing up, and these universal themes of maturity and maturing through love. It's incredible. I am definitely going to watch this again and over and over and over. I really do love this movie. The Master follows an eccentric naval veteran named Freddie Quall as he meets this charismatic cult leader and becomes tantalized by his ideas. The Master is a film that grows on me the more I think about it and the more time I've given it since I've seen it. Let me get this out of the way. It's one of the most beautifully shot films in Anderson's filmography. I think it might be the third or second best, just looking based on the cinematography in his filmography. But The Master, I think, is also another underrated one in his filmography. First of all, Joaquin Phoenix is fucking unsettling in this movie. His presence that he gives off in this movie and his energy is so creepy and unsettling. This obviously mentally unwell man doing the things that he gets to do in this movie and getting to all the places that he gets to get to in this movie really unsettles me. Philip Seymour Hoffman also has a particularly unsettling performance, but in almost the opposite way, as Joaquin Phoenix feels like this weird social outcast. He's someone that if you met in real life, you would never want to be around. The thing that's so unsettling about Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is he's so charismatic. He drives you in. And I think that's the best quality about this film. You're driven into the character of Lancaster Dodd along with Freddie Quill. And it gets more unsettling as things move on. The more you learn about his ideas and the way he treats others around him and the way people have been affected by his ideas. This film has a very, very dark tone to it. It's a film that really gets under my skin and I can't stop thinking about since I've seen it. It only grows on me. It's one of those films that seems great. It's technically amazing and there is some great qualities to it when you first see it, and you know that it's a great film when you first see it. But you don't really get to unpack it until weeks, months, and maybe even years down the line after seeing it, as it sits with you, and it sits under your skin. The way cultism is portrayed in this film, I think is incredible. It's genius. You go into this film knowing the premise, expecting the cult stuff, and by the time you get to a lot of the cult stuff, or you start noticing the cult stuff, that's when the cult stuff starts getting extreme, when it starts getting too far gone for the characters. You're driven in by the film itself and captivated by it. You don't even realize what's going on to these characters and how dark things are getting. The amount of bullshit constantly spouted by Dodd, and the ways that people will give their lives to him, and the ways that you see the characters keep believing him, bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. The Master is something that sits with me. I think it's something that will always sit with me, and something that I just can't get out of my skin. Phantom Thread follows a extravagant 1950s London dressmaker as he falls in love with a young woman. Phantom Thread, I think, has the best two performances, acting-wise, out of any character in any PTA film. Daniel Day-Lewis and Vicky Krieps are both fucking incredible in this. Daniel Day-Lewis is famous for disappearing into characters, and he disappears into Reynolds Woodcock more than I think he's ever disappeared into any other character. This is my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance. And Vicky Krieps, who, please, I want to see more shit. She's fucking incredible. The fact that she can hold up with Daniel Day-Lewis and act on the level that she's acting on is insane. She's so insanely talented, and please, I want to see her in more stuff. Please, other bigger directors in Hollywood, put her in stuff. The way this film evolves is incredible. Much like The Master, it pulls you in. Much like The Master, it pulls you into its concept by romanticizing it, except this is an actual romance. I didn't really know what this was about going in, so when the romance stuff started, I thought this was a straight-up romance. I was enthralled and entranced by the romance they're displaying here. The score is incredible, the cinematography is euphoric, and all of that working together creates this extremely entrancing romantic film, at least in the beginning. And then this film takes a turn, and as things start going further and further and further, much like The Master, you don't realize how bad it is until it already is pretty bad for these characters. Again, I went in blind, not knowing about what this film is actually about. So when the manipulation of these characters kept happening, and started getting worse and worse and worse, I was enthralled and I was genuinely shocked. It wasn't something that I was expecting, but it was something that felt both in character. These characters were very sweet to each other at the beginning. Woodcock being admittedly a little bit arrogant at the beginning, but you could see him kind of entrusting himself in Alma more than he has entrusted himself in anyone else. But as the manipulation starts, oh my god, does this film get good. It just fucking locks in at one point, and it does not let fucking go. You start out by noticing the toxicity in just Woodcock, and you're on Alma's side. But as things go down, you realize Alma's part of it too, and it's another big shocker. It's this plot twist without this big reveal scene. It just happens. The filmmaking is so good here that the plot twists, or not really plot twists, but these big moments feel like plot twists, and they just happen. There doesn't have to be some big reveal scene for these twists. They're just something that was there the entire time that kind of just happens, and when you realize, it hits you like a bag of bricks. I think the best thing about this film is how realistic these characters feel. Their intense love for each other, which is real, and it feels pure, and it feels sweet, but their intense, toxic manipulation of each other. And the weird way that you kind of want it to work out. You've seen how sweet and how incredible their romance could be. You want it to work out between them. But they keep manipulating each other, and there's this toxic tone throughout that keeps going. Throughout the entire film, and even at the end, I still want them to work out as a couple. I want them to work as a couple like normal human beings. And it's a lot of side switching. You can switch between each side throughout the entire movie until you realize how far both sides have gone with each other. It's like a poison. I still want them to work as a couple, but man, at an insane price, they are parasitic to each other. I think it's so great about this film that you can actually put yourself in either of these characters and analyze your own relationships with this one. It's a very great film for that. It's very intense, and it's this film that keeps you gripped. It's this roller coaster ride without having any action at all. This is a enthralling one that I would dare to even fucking blink while watching this movie. Magnolia follows a dying father, a young wife, a male caretaker, a famous lost son, a police officer in love, a boy genius, an ex-boy genius, and a game show host on one fateful night in San Fernando Valley. I think Magnolia is one of his more famous entries. The ending with the frogs is, I think, one of the most famous things PTA is known for, but there's a lot to love about Magnolia. Magnolia is another film that hits you like a bag of bricks. I absolutely loved it the first time I saw it, and I considered it like top 5 favorite films material the first time I saw it. Now, of course, it's gone down since then, but I still think it's a pretty perfect film. The way this film turns itself into a 3-hour epic just about being a human, the human experience and human emotions. This fucking collage of humans and love and hate and fear. It's almost terrifying to watch. This is one of the ones that feels the most Altman-inspired. I think this, besides Heart 8, is the film that feels the most Altman-inspired in all of PTA's catalog, but that's okay. I think wearing your influences for everyone to see is actually a great thing, and I think that's one of the most stronger elements of this film. Tom Cruise gives a career best performance as Frank T.J. Mackey. I really do think this is the best performance Tom Cruise has ever given in any movie he's ever done. He's fucking hilarious as this character and so sympathetic. The way this movie moves, you just keep dissecting these characters. This movie is a doctor's scalpel in movie form. The more the movie goes, the more you just keep dissecting and pulling back the layer on so many of these characters. And, oh my god, the way this film balances all these characters. Yes, very Altman-esque, but I haven't really seen anyone do it as good as Altman as PTA does in this movie. John C. Reilly gives an incredible performance in this film, and I think this is his best performance of any film he's ever done. I know that might be a hot take because he's also great as Reed Rothschild, but I think he's better in this. The opening sequence with One playing by Amy Mann, the Amy Mann cover of One, will forever be stuck in my head. I constantly think about it all the time. I will never stop thinking about it. I haven't been able to get it out of my head since I saw this movie, and I don't think I ever will. So many incredible actors in this, and every character is somewhat interesting. In this film, I'm equally as enthralled with every character's journey, and when that famous ending happens with the frogs raining, it doesn't make sense. It's very biblical, yes, but it almost does make sense thematically. I didn't know about the biblical connections about it when I first saw the film, but the frogs, when I was watching it, I kind of just went, okay, this is happening. I get this. I'm invested, and it didn't take me out of the film at all. I think that scene is, I think it's one of the best scenes in any movie ever. And like a David Lynch movie, not everything has to make sense, but without having any explanation, it does just make sense. One battle after another follows Bob Ferguson, a former member of a revolutionary terrorist organization who, years after his membership, has to retaliate and come to terms with his past, save his daughter who has been kidnapped by Colonel Lockjaw. One battle after another is PTA's newest movie, and I'm going to say a little bit less about this one since there's more thoughts in my latest video on that. One battle after another, I'm sure, is one of the best films of the decade. I really do. I think it is one of the best films of this decade. Maybe the best. Certainly one of the most important. I think time will only tell with that one. But One battle after another is doing so many things at the same time. It's not only fucking hilarious, it not only makes some incredible political satire without even feeling like it's trying, but at the core it has this message of hope and of family. It has some sort of cheese to it. It somehow explains the weird times we're living in and brings hope to it. And One battle proves that love will always win over any type of hate. Love will win. One thing that I forgot to mention in my One battle review is how fucking goofy this movie is. Sean Penn is one of the most vile, disgusting, evil, and brutal characters put on screen in any movie ever, but he's also goofy as hell. I mean, I think every character is fucking hilarious in this, but when these evil and brutal and disgusting and vile characters are the objects of jokes in this, and a lot of jokes are made about them because they're so stupid, it's just really incredible to watch because these characters feel realistic while also feeling like a spoof of themselves. There's a lot of slapstick elements to this, there's a lot of satirical elements to this, and yet all of it still feels real. It's this realistic movie with this layer of goofy absurdism to it that fully works and fully drives down the emotion at the end. And also manages to be one of the most thrilling and enthralling and heart-throbbing movies I've ever seen. One Battle is fucking incredible. Maybe it will move up my PTA ranking later, but right now it has to sit here. There Will Be Blood is the story of this greed and power-obsessed oil tycoon and the days of his business. There Will Be Blood is probably the most iconic film out of PTA's career, and for great reason. This is Daniel Day-Lewis's second best performance. He's fucking incredible in this, and I think it is one of the best performances in any movie ever. Throughout the runtime of this movie, I have no idea who Daniel Day-Lewis is. I completely forget that he exists as a person. One of the best qualities about this film is how it makes the fucking 3-hour runtime feel like nothing. It moves by, with almost having this kind of Terrence Malick-esque feel. See, a film of this nature, of this monumental nature, was made by the Scorsese or the Coppola, and these films get wide praise, but they're structured much differently from this. This film is almost able to have the PTA structure, this Malick-esque structure that moves from moment to moment without really focusing on chronology, but also focusing on chronology. It's hard to explain, but it's a different structure than these classic American epics that this is clearly inspired by, and clearly is. This is a classic. And the way that this is able to get universal praise and completely work with the structure it has is incredible. This film is very dark. It's very moving, but it's very, very dark and very, very tragic. You just watch Daniel fall and fall to become more and more of a scumbag. It's this Icarus-like fall in character, while the character only grows in power more and more, only giving himself more and more reason to fall more and more and become more obsessed with the power he so dearly wants to hold. This is the best looking film in PTA's filmography, period. The cinematography is fucking incredible. The sequence where the oil rig blows up is euphoric. I don't know, I can't put it into words, my feelings about that sequence. It's so goddamn incredible. But this film is like an apple. You just watch it rot and rot and rot. And at the end of the film, there's no redemption. It's just rotten to the core. All of the themes in this film are so dark. The structure is so not normal that it shouldn't be as widely praised as it is, yet it is. I think Paul Dano is a part of this film that is not as talked about because he's fucking incredible in this. This is the best Paul Dano performance. He's so good. I think the way these two characters go against each other and the way they're framed against each other is perfect. I think both of these characters and both of these actors are giving the performance of their lifetime, down to like the movements. There's ways that these characters walk and turn their head that tells us about who they are as a character and as a person. This is one of the most ambitious films that PTA has made, and also one of the most mainstream. It feels like the films that become mainstream feel very weird why they become mainstream, but I get it. This is the classic American epic, and it is incredible for a reason. I don't think there's much more to say about this one that hasn't already been said. I fucking love this movie. It's fucking incredible, and it will never get enough praise. Perfect. Boogie Nights takes place in the San Fernando Valley in 1977, as a teenage busboy, Eddie Adams, gets discovered by a porn director, Jack Horner, who transforms him into adult film sensation, Dirk Diggler. Boogie Nights is a stone cold classic. It just is. I don't know any other way around that. Boogie Nights is one of the greatest movies ever made. I think Boogie Nights was the first Paul Thomas Anderson movie I ever saw, and it's just one of those movies that rewires your brain when you see it. It's a movie that, when I saw it for the first time, made me realize how much cinema could mean to me, and how much you could do with cinema, and how much you could do in a movie. And ever since then, thinking about Boogie Nights has been a daily task of mine. It's a common remark that when Paul Thomas Anderson made Boogie Nights at the young age of 27, he was making a movie far beyond his years. This is the movie to a lot of people that proved Paul Thomas Anderson as a director. And as being the first Paul Thomas Anderson film I saw, yeah, it did. Boogie Nights is this magical movie, from the cinematography to all of the performances, which are incredible. This is probably Mark Wahlberg's best performance, who in other films is not really a great actor, but apparently he pulled off his acting chops in this one. Don Cheadle's incredible. John C. Reilly's incredible. And, oh man, do I love Burt Reynolds in this one. There's just so much to love about Boogie Nights, from it being absolutely hilarious from top to bottom, and also bringing in the emotion. Pool party scene is a classic. I mean, it's probably the most iconic scene from this movie, and for a good reason. It's incredible. But the scene with Alfred Molina is probably the best scene in the movie. Jesus fucking Christ, it's so funny and dark. The best quality about Boogie Nights is it's able to be very hilarious. It's able to be almost entrancing. When Dirk Diggler enters this world of pornography, it feels like he's almost entering Disneyland. He's entering this other magical world beyond his own. But as the movie moves on, and especially when the movie changes from 1979 to 1980, it's almost like the layers have been pulled back, and we see the darkness under this world that Diggler has been living through. I mean, the porn world has never been a great place at all, ever, and especially in the 70s when it was probably at its height of most exploitive. So, in the scenes where it feels magical, when you reanalyze them, you can see the darkness just below. It feels like The Master in that way, where it pulls you in and it entrances you into its magic and into the charisma of everything and the extravagance of everything before pulling back that layer to reveal the darkness underneath. This film can get very, very, very dark. I think this might be the best exploration of fame in any movie ever. The way that a career is explored, from rise to downfall to loss of popularity, it's done pretty much perfectly. I mean, this movie's runtime is only 2 hours and 33 minutes, which is quite long, but it feels longer in a good way. This movie is paced so perfectly, not a second of screen time is wasted. I mean, there's a reason this became a classic. The atmosphere Anderson creates is impeccable. I mean, I've already talked about the cinematography, but I think the music choices, and especially the needle drops in this one, work so well. That needle drop of God Only Knows at the end, which is by itself a beautiful song. God Only Knows is one of the best songs ever made, but using it at the end of this film as this kind of melancholy closer, we see the very human journeys all these characters have gone on. Some of them have bad endings, some of them have good endings, and you kind of just have to accept that. Boogie Nights will always be a film that is special to me. I think about it a lot, and I don't think I'm going to stop thinking about it a lot. It's kind of odd how a movie about porn stars can tell you about yourself and tell you about the human experience and tell you about love and maturity. It's so weird and so absurd that this movie says as much as it does and as deep as it is, but it is. It's a really, really incredible masterpiece of a film. I can't praise it enough. Just kidding. Punch Drunk Love follows Barry Egan, a timid and shy man leading a lonely and uneventful life. However, due to several events that transpire, they shake up Egan's mundane existence. This is definitely going to be a controversial pick for the top. I know a lot of people would not put this one at the top, but I feel like I kind of have to. I feel like I have no other choice than to put this one on the top. Punch Drunk Love is an important movie to me. I mean, I think every movie on this list is important to me in some way, as PTA is one of the most important directors in my life. But this one is especially important. It's top 2 movies ever for me. I constantly have debates in my mind and whether this or Schenectady, New York is my favorite movie of all time. It's definitely in top 2 for me. And that's all due to how I connected to it the first time I watched it. This is something that I can say is a life-changing movie. When I watched it for the first time, it so deeply impacted me more than maybe any movie has ever done to me that it sticks with me. This is a movie that I think about daily, that I cannot get out of my brain, and I'm going to watch 10, 100 billion times in my lifetime. I think everything Paul Thomas Anderson does with love and depression and anxiety and mundanity in this movie is incredible. Barry Egan as a character is one of my favorite characters in all of movies, who's played beautifully by Adam Sandler in Adam Sandler's best role ever. The way Anderson effortlessly puts us into the mind of Egan, and we experience life throughout him. We get to experience his highs and his lows in this movie, and it's perfect. In most Paul Thomas Anderson movies, we get to follow a character who is probably not a great person as our main character, but I can say that Barry Egan is an incredible human being. He's one of the only characters in Paul Thomas Anderson movies that is just a great human being trying to be a good person. We as the audience, we fall in love with his life. We fall in love with his mundanity, and we fall in love with his want to be loved. This is a man who needs love in his life. He cannot live without it. That's the most relatable feeling ever. I mean, everyone needs love in their life. And this is a man who is so desperately in need of it. And yet he moves every single day. He gets out of bed, even though he does not have that love that he so desires. And we see that man as he actually gets the love in that life that he needs. We see him go on this journey. We see his life visually changing. Barry Egan is like a superhero at points in this film. The way that love gives him this confidence to do things that he would never do. I mean, there's so many incredible moments in this film. The scene where he breaks the window at his family dinner. The scene where he's crying to his friend who's a dentist at the family dinner in the closet, which is both hilarious and depressing and incredible all in one scene. I think it's one of the best scenes in any movie ever. I love that moment. And even that euphoric needle drop of He Needs Me, Shelley Duvall singing He Needs Me, with that montage, everything about this works. I really do think this is a perfect movie without any flaws. It works perfectly. And not to mention the fucking score. I don't know why people don't mention this score as one of the best scores ever. When great cinema scores are mentioned, we always hear, oh, Interstellar, The Social Network, Shawshank Redemption, Jurassic Park. I think this needs to be in the conversation more. The score is flawless. It works perfectly to feed Barry's anxiety and Barry's depression. We really get to hop into Barry's mind, and the score is a big part of that, which is really incredible. And most of all about this movie, I just love how much hope it gives you. It gives you hope for this character who's so desperate, who's so depressed, who finds what he needs. This movie has an incredibly happy ending. Paul Thomas Anderson's take on a romantic comedy is perfect. This movie is filled with hope. It's filled with love. This man keeps working, and he finally finds the love to fill his life. This is a movie I could go on all day, every day about. I truly could not stop talking about this movie. And I probably will make my own video on this movie at one point, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at this. This is my top spot. I don't think that's going to change. I think in the future, after rewatching a lot of these movies, this list might change a lot, but Punch Drunk Love being my top pick, I don't think that will ever change. This is probably the only thing on the list that is set in stone on which spot on the list it will be at. And thank you everybody for watching my video. This is my list. Put your list down in the comments. I would love to see your ranking of PTA films. Leave in the comments what spots you agree with and what spots you don't agree with. Tell me which of my opinions are wrong and which of your opinions are right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.